Patrick's demeanor at the time, he was calm. He wasn't a bit worried, and we know that because he never showed up at the conference of Kelsey Berreth when her mother was on the stand pleading for her safe return. And her mother said, "Kelsey, I will never stop looking. Someone knows where she is." And at that point she left the stand because she was getting emotional. The tears were starting to flow. But she was not on the she wasn't talking for that much because she probably was told not to say too much because she knew more, a lot more than we did at that time. And this will come to trial, which it is. So that's the reason she didn't say too much. 11 days had passed, and there was no contact from Kelsey to her mother, even though her mother was trying to get in contact with her somehow, that she ended up calling the police to do a welfare check, and then she decided to come down with her son and go to her home herself. And that's when they found the blood on the toilet, because the brother said he was on the phone, I don't know, Facebook or something, and he looked down and see blood, and he called the police for the second time. And that's when they told him to don't touch nothing, get out of the house, and they'll be on their way. And that's where the ball started rolling from then. They also say that Patrick was seen numerous times on the camera from one of the neighbors, coming and going on Thanksgiving Day. And I don't know what else they picked up on the camera, but they said that KK was nowhere to be seen on that day. So Patrick stated that he hadn't seen or hadn't been near Kelsey's home, only the one time when he picked up his daughter for Thanksgiving Day and took her home to his mother's ranch and celebrated Thanksgiving with a nice dinner. Yeah. He just went about his day like it was another day. Now, we don't know what his mother really knows. As I said, she asked for immunity. Don't know why, because they really hadn't got nothing from her. So why would they offer immunity when she hasn't said nothing? But they didn't give her immunity, and she pled the fifth, right? I don't know if they can make her. If they can make her get on the stand. But she pleads the fifth. I don't know what else they can do. They can give her jail time. I don't know. But what does she know? Well, what we know is the first day Kelsey came to the ranch, her mother, his mother, Mama Fraise, called her a whore. A ho. Yeah. Now, that's your first encounter with Patrick's mother? She said these things about her? Now, why? Why would she do that? Because Patrick gave her the impression? Or she knows her son really well, that he gets on the internet and messes around all the time with a bunch of women. because he can, and he was single, but it seems like he probably had a few women going on. Now, I don't know if they're going to bring any other women on the stand that he dated on the app, that dating site. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it, but you never know. But there are going to be a lot more witnesses coming up, and they are saying that KK will take the stand Wednesday or Thursday, but pretty soon, because this case is going pretty fast in the trial. There seems to be no delays. The Judge Scott, I think that's his name, is moving this right along. And then there is the bank. The bank teller of the bank, there was video, and on this video was at the ATM machine was Patrick, and they said something about, I don't know, was KK in the car too, but the tote, and they see things in the car, but that wasn't unusual. But when Patrick came up to Miss Key, the bank teller, he asked for the video of that day of him being at the ATM machine drive-through, and he said a number of things why he wanted it, and one was for custody. There's a custody issue, and he needs it to prove where he was. Now, that don't make sense, does it? You're going for child custody or anything like that, and you want to prove where your whereabouts? You want to prove your whereabouts? Well, who does that? They don't ask you where you've been. I want video you went to the store this day. I want video you went to work. I want video, you drove down the road. No court's going to ask you for your whereabouts on a normal day. Now, that was one strange request, and it's got him in trouble because it's another for his case, it's just another lie. He told lies to the teller, and she is in court speaking the truth of what he really wanted it for. Because Kelsey's been missing nearly a year, and she has just vanished off the face of the earth. Yes, she is. Now, I hope and pray that we find something one day, but it's very doubtful with the way her remains were discarded. And he had plenty of time, 11 days, to make sure she was gone for good. Now, this was the testimony from the E&T Bank employee. She recalls her interactions with Patrick Frazee during her conversation with him. Key, that's her name, said she could access the surveillance video from his trip to the bank on Thanksgiving Day. Mr. Frazee asked me, this is her saying that, if I could get those things for him, and I said I could. He said he was needing to have a timeline for that time because he and his fiancée had broken up the day before. So you hear that? The day before. He was getting together with her to see about custody for their child, and he needed to set a timeline for where he was the day before. He said the bank teller, she said on the witness stand that adding that Fraser told her his fiancée had gone missing. Yes, guys, he told her that she had gone missing. I said, if you don't know when she went missing, how will this timeline help you? He said. He said, well, exactly. That same day, Key said, that's the bank teller, she said she had spoken to the police, who had asked her to look up Kelsey Berreth's debit card history. The last transaction was on November the 22nd, 2018. That's the only day she said Fraser asked for surveillance footage showing his whereabouts. Key said Fraser asked for his bank history that day as well, and looked at surveillance video and photos that showed him at the ATM with his 1-year-old daughter in the front seat. I don't know what time this was exactly, but at this time he has his daughter, and she is in the front seat. And he said when Fraser and his friend left the bank, Fraser and his friend. Now, I think I heard, I'm not sure, but I think it was a guy that was his friend. I think. Can't be positive on that one. Going back, last year, when this all was coming out, little pieces here, little pieces there. She contacted her company's legal team, which told her to write the reactions and call the police. And she also said a few other parts of the conversation stuck out to her. What he said was, all I know was that after she was seen at Safeway, she's talked to her mother on Sunday, and no one's seen her since. He said, the bank teller. So I stopped the conversation and said, if she talked to her mother after Thanksgiving, then she wasn't missing on Thanksgiving. Yeah, how about that, guys? And she also said he was very abrupt and said she didn't talk to her mother on Sunday after Thanksgiving. And I was thinking, you just said that. It was a very strange interaction. So there's going to be a bit more evidence on a lot more evidence that the prosecutors, the state, is going to put on it. They are putting their puzzle together each day from Patrick's behavior. They're going to talk about the texts, the candles, the blindfolded, the strange events, the phone, and about when it was destroyed, the lockdown of his account, the ATM, as we just spoke about, wanting to have an alibi, the Sonic, is coming into play. I guess that's when KK was getting her food after her cleanup. And the concerns of what he didn't do. What he didn't do. They do assume that she is dead, that Kelsey is dead. And I think we all know that by now. It's been nearly a year. So they're going to convict him without a body. Well, you can convict somebody without a body if the evidence is there, and which it is, and which he has been charged for. Numerous accounts on that. So, they say he's cold, calculating. KK had been in her interview for, I think, over 4.5 hours when she gave her interview to the detectives, when they gave her a sweet ass deal. And she is much involved in this as he is. She's up to her neck in shit. And I don't know why they gave her a sweet deal. They thought they couldn't go on with the case without her. Well, they gave her sweet deal before she made her statements. So you can't go back on it, I guess. That's the law. And she had a very good attorney with her, who helped her get this deal. They're going to, they talked about the coffee. On the 23rd was the coffee incident, but she had put no poison in the coffee. On the 15th of October, she brought a rod, and she got scared because of the barking dog. Now, I wonder if the neighbors have got camera, still got their video of this. I doubt it, because, they had no reason to keep it. And I don't know how many days it keeps the camera rolling and then erases it. I think 7 days. I don't know. Every camera is different. 6 days later, which would have been the 21st of October, she brought a baseball bat. This is where the baseball bat came into play. She brought a baseball bat from home. Unless she went to the store and bought a brand new one. On the 26th of November is when Kelsey was killed. And on the 24th of November was cleanup day for KK. Patrick had talked to her and said, "You've got a mess to clean up." And she came a-running with her cleaning supplies. Yeah, she came a-running. She came down right away and started to clean up Kelsey's home. And in one of her statements she made was that she purposely left evidence in that home. Purposely. She didn't wipe down everything. Purposely. Yeah? That's what she says. Because she didn't clean up everything. She had missed a few things here and there. But that doesn't mean that she purposely left it there to for evidence. Yeah. That's what she said. like I said, she got one hell of a sweet deal and has got away with murder. In my opinion. That's my opinion. Patrick Frazee wouldn't be arrested until December the 21st, just one day after his mistress, KK, from Idaho, a nurse at that, her name is Crystal Lee Kenny, KK. She began to cooperate with the investigators. And this is when Kenny alleges that Frazee asked her to kill Kelsey Berreth 3 times, but she didn't go through with it. Well, she nearly did. She got the coffee in her hand and she was at her door. No, she said she never went through with it, but who's to say? Who's to say that she didn't? Because the bat was used, and she brought the bat from Idaho. So the bat was used. Now, how did Patrick get a hold of the bat? Because she gave him the tools. Yeah? Well, this is all her statements. I mean, but you know what? Patrick Frazee is going to come up with the imaginary hitman. Yeah, they don't call it the suspect or the whatever you want to call it. Now they're calling this other person the hitman. You know, his lawyers had to come up with something different because they missed the deadline to name the other person of interest, and they come up with the hitman. So that's going to happen in the next few days. I don't know which order the witnesses are coming in, because, you know, like I said, it's not televised, and we're getting bits and pieces that people that are in the courts reporting, and the news reports, and, you know, little things like that, and the court's transcripts, I guess, the line up to the witnesses and stuff like that. So she didn't go through with it. On November the 22nd, 2018, Kenny told police Frazee sent her a text telling her she had a mess to clean up and she would need to drive from Idaho to Woodland Park to do it. So why would she have to drive to Woodland Park? She didn't need directions. She knew exactly where she lived. Yeah. KK allegedly says Frazee told her to beat Kelsey Berreth to death with a baseball bat and burnt her body on his property in fluorescent. Kenny told investigators that she helped clean up the crime scene and destroyed Kelsey Berreth's cell phone. And she has pleaded guilty to tampering with evidence in exchange and expected to testify, like I said, in the next few days, Wednesday or Thursday. The mobile phone data placing Frazee and Kenny at what prosecutors said was the scene of the crime has been key evidence for the district attorney's office, which makes testimony a Verizon store employee about the interaction with Frazee before the arrest possibly significant. So today, is the guy from Verizon. He's on the stand. He's the one that's going to talk about text messages and data. So we'll see what he found exactly, because we don't know what was there was stuff destroyed, but KK had said, what she texted, and what Patrick had texted Kelsey. The last day he texted her was November the 25th. He called her or texted her, but he didn't get no response from Kelsey. Oh yeah, really? Yeah, because you killed her. And you were setting up your alibi, calling a ghost. Yeah, that's what you were doing, calling a ghost, because you knew Kelsey's phone had already been destroyed by KK. It had already been broken and burnt by KK. So, what you gonna do now? What you gonna say now? Can't get out of that one. So, that's another thing that happened. They said that this employee of Verizon said that Frazee came into the Woodland Park Verizon store on the December the 11th, 2018, and he had his 1-year-old daughter with him at that time. When he came in, he seemed very nervous and kind of sketchy, paranoid, and was looking around a lot, Phyllis said. Felis. And one of the first things he told me, one of the first things he said to me was, "Don't believe what they are saying about me." Oh yeah, don't believe what they're saying about me. I said, "I don't know who you are. I treat all my customers the same," Phyllis said. Is that Phyllis? Felis. Frazee seemed particularly concerned about the security of his Cellphone account and asked if it was possible to gather information from a phone that was destroyed. Oh yeah, from a phone that was destroyed. Now how does he know it was destroyed? So he says the Verizon guy said Frazee kept asking about the other phone on his account. So they must have had a joint account, and so it's probably why he can get into the accounts, I guess, get into a phone easily. He kept on, talking about the other phone account and tried to change the pin on it. He tried to change the pin on the device so he could access the data, guys. Oh yeah. Yeah. And this guy said that rang every alarm bell in my head. Yeah, the Verizon guy said. After he asked that question, I excused myself to the restroom and I looked up the news reports. Man, this guy was, I think, got a little nervous, right? He's thinking, damn, I've got a killer in my store. He's probably thinking that and got himself all worked up. And the news reports, and it had his name, Patrick Frazee. Yeah, Kelsey Berreth disappeared, and Frazee's arrest has generated media attention from across the country. Yep. And this is, how we've got to 1,750 Teller County residents to receive a jury summons in this case. But he got real nervous and excused himself and looked him up. Because, he's like, it's on your account, but it's not your phone, So, there we go. Patrick Frazee put himself in the Verizon store, trying to change the PIN and get into all of her data. Plus, he was at the bank, and so he seems to have put himself into a lot of places for evidence if he needed it later. But we know where he was on Thanksgiving Day. We knew he took his child from Kelsey. He was the last one to see her, alleged. But he was the last one to see her because he was seen 11 times. He only went there to pick his daughter up and left. And, it's not like he called her all day on Thanksgiving Day. And who said that the baby, Kaylee, was ever going with him on that day? We don't know where she was going that day. Not really. I think she was supposed to be going somewhere, but we're not sure where she was supposed to be going at this time. It's all hearsay, and and it was an iffy. She wasn't sure where she was going. And on the 21st of November 2018, the camera was only triggered 4 times. On November the 23rd, it was triggered 3 times. But on November the 22nd, the last day Kelsey Berreth was seen alive, it was triggered 27 times, according to Miniger. Frazee is seen in 11 of the surveillance photos, including as late as 4:30 p.m. So that is from the surveillance from around Kelsey's home. Really close to her house there's a camera. So it picks up everything. And I am so glad that this surveillance camera was saved because 11 days after, and they get the ball rolling, they were just praying that the surveillance, there would be something on there that was saved. And thank God for that, because this shows him, that gives him a timeline. It gives him a timeline. But how many times did you have to come in and out, and how many times were you there when you only said you went there to pick up your child and you were gone? He said, according to Miniger, the last image ever recorded of Kelsey Berreth was when she went into her apartment at 1:23 p.m. and she would never be seen leaving. Well, she wasn't seen alive, and she wasn't seen walking. her body, her actual living body, was never seen. Let's hope they find the tote. I mean, he got her in his vehicle somehow. He got her in the vehicle somehow. So, and Miniger's testimony is today, so he's finishing up today. He resumed at 8:30 on Tuesday at Teller County Courthouse, Cripple Creek, and I will give you some more updates of today's events later tomorrow. And stay tuned, guys. This is a case that I've been following since she went missing, and it's been a long time now, not too long actually, less than a year, and we're finally in trial. And don't forget to like and sub to my channel, and let's have a conversation and leave your comments below. And thank you for stopping by.